Recording in progress.
Hey, everybody, how you doing?
Doing great, Dennis.
All
Doing
right,
good.
good to hear it. You guys had enough rain or not? Hey, everybody, how you doing?
Had enough
Good.
rain.
Dennis.
Yeah,
Doing good.
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Definitely enough rain.
Yeah,
Was that enough rain or not?
it is for us here in Pink Hill. I'm not sure about other parts of the state, but I think we're maybe 6 inches ahead of where we normally are by this time, something like that. And in our case, we have a hay crop, and the hay crop is way overdue to be harvested, but it's just too wet to get into the fields and cut it, according to our our farmer who does that. And he said he's never had that happen before. So he's been doing it for 40 years. So I don't know what's going on. I guess, it's just the weather seems so extreme from my perspective. Hey, Kyle, how are you today? John, where are you located? Winston-Salem area?
Yeah, Dennis, we're in Archdale, which is right outside High Point.
Okay.
We're about 20 miles from Greensboro, 25 miles from Winston.
Oh, wow. Great location.
Yeah, we're right in the heart of what they call the Triad.
Yeah. Are you guys seeing a lot of rain also?
Yes, we've had a lot.
Is it causing problems in the agriculture for people as far as you know?
No, just have to mow the grass too much.
Boy, the truer words were never spoken. I'm I'm normally once a week. I've got quite a bit of grass to mow, so I really kind of like my little routine of once a week, but it's been almost shin high, knee high in some places, even after 4 days. I've never seen anything like it. And it's so wet down at the base, it's really hard to oh, I'm whining. I don't mind it, but it's just amazing to me how fast it grows compared to normal.
Yeah, my poor sister-in-law, she does most of the mowing around here. We've got a 60-acre family farm. We've got about 15 acres that gets mowed. So she mows about 5 days a week.
Oh my goodness. How many acres is she cutting?
About 15 acres.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think I don't know exactly what I am. I think I'm 10 acres. So we have quite a bit of land, but it's only some of it is cut, or cuttable, whatever the right word is. And I have this zero turn mower that is really too much fun. People should not be allowed to have these things because it has more horsepower than our tractor. And it's really easy. It's got I think it's a 60-inch wide deck. And I mean, I could just go flat out back. I've actually almost tipped it over a couple times just trying to go too fast. So it's an experience, but it's just something as a city boy, I just never even thought about these kinds of issues.
It sounds like about the same size my sister-in-law uses. Her
Yeah.
problem's getting stuck in the mud. She gets hung up quite a bit.
I see. Well, we have quite a bit of low hanging branches. So we have crepe myrtles and I don't even know all the damn trees, a lot of different trees. And when I go under, I have to go under them. They're pretty good canopy sometimes. And sometimes it knocks my hat off and it gets chewed up by the mower, or I've even had it where it's raised the front end of the mower off the ground. Not too
Wow.
far, but enough to get my attention.
Wow.
So I quickly back up and I'm just, you might think I'd get out and just cut those areas by hand, but then I wouldn't be an official guy if I did that, right? You can't be logical. You have to,
No.
use for what it's supposed to be. So yeah, and the other fun thing is when it's wet like this, when you turn on a zero turn, if you're going too fast, you tend to make pretty big skid marks in the grass. It kind of digs up the grass and leaves a little evidence that you were going too fast. So I'm learning to slow down a little bit every now and then. And it's the other thing I've learned is that there's always one more little part to get. And I'll share this story with you all. I think you might appreciate it. So I'm a city kid. I never mowed grass until I moved here. I know that sounds crazy, But I was really getting into it, and then we have a little road that I have to cut along, and it's a pretty long little road, and it's got fences on both sides, and my job is really to keep the little path or the road clear. So I had done all the mowing, and I just had one last strip to do, and the sun was going down. I had my headphones on, and I was so thrilled with just what a great experience it was, the beautiful sky, and I'm listening to music. And so I've just got this one little strip, and I'm going down this strip, which is kind of along this fence line. And the next thing I know, I'm on the ground wrapped in barbed wire. The mower is about 20 feet from me, going around in circles until it cut off. And I just didn't know what had happened. But what had happened was, as I drove down that fence line, I apparently launched an old fence post that was buried in the grass straight up in the air, and it came straight down on my head. It didn't hit me on the side, it hit me on top of my head. I thought I got hit by a satellite. I really could not figure it out. So I kind of, I couldn't get the barbed wire off the mower. I did get it off myself. But I kind of went in the house, and I was bleeding, and I was trying to tell this story. And my 86-year-old father-in-law just kind of looked at me, said, "Oh, Dennis, I'm so sorry." I go, "What?" "I forgot to tell you that I put that old fence post in there along that fence line." I go, "Colonel, when do you think you left it there?" And he kind of put his fingers to his chin. He goes, "I think about 1972. I said, "That's okay, Colonel. You aren't expected to remember, that long." But he was just so upset that he had forgotten to tell me that he had put that in the weeds there or whatever. But I often find old steel wheels and barbed wire is my particular problem, where I find coils of it in unexpected places, and so it's always something,
Wow.
Yeah, it's fun. That's it. That's as far as I get to farming, I'd have to say. So, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and hopefully, as other folks come, we'll be able to. I don't see Grant at the moment, but hopefully he'll will appear. And let's see. I'll do my best to multitask here. So today we're going to talk. It's really kind of an introduction to branding, because I really believe branding, as many of you probably agree, could be its own course for a really long period of time, because there's really a lot to it. I want to share a story with you before we go to our videos today. But last week or so, I know you all have heard of Weber grills. Weber grills are pretty well known. I think it's true that they are maybe 60% of all grills in the United States are actually Weber, or some crazy number like that. And they actually did an IPO in the last week or two, which is a little surprising. You would think they already were public, but who knows? But anyway, part of when you do an IPO, you have to issue a document that warns investors of risks, and it's usually titled "Risk to Investors" or something to that effect. And it's really really interesting to read those things, because of the SEC and other agencies that monitor IPOs, they have to be really honest. So you can learn a lot about what a company thinks if you read these IPO documents. I know if you're bored and have nothing to do, you can look them up. But what was really striking about this particular one is, normally what they do is they talk about their products and their services and how they're going to make money. That's really what they talk about the most. And then they talk about the risks, like they can't get raw materials, or people stop buying grills, or whatever the risks are. But in this particular case, in the overall document, there was something like 140 references to the actual grill. and the markets of the grill that they addressed and the types of grills and yada, yada, yada. But the same document also had 290 mentions of their brand and how difficult, how important it was to their success that they maintain a strong brand. And that includes their distribution channels, their quality of their packaging, their advertising, marketing, everything that makes a brand. And the person I was talking to, who is a lawyer who works in that space, said they had never seen that before, where the actual brand was way more critical to their success than the actual product that they sell. So this is kind of an emerging thing where people are talking more and more about brands, and you're going to hear a lot more about it. And I would argue that with the advent of online shopping and online branding or marketing, it's even more critical that your brand be understood and known and stand for something, because if you don't have a package on a store shelf or a storefront somewhere, it becomes even more difficult to establish your brand in the traditional sense. So I think that what I'm going to start here today is going to be an ongoing theme. We're going to talk about it a lot, but I think it's the single biggest thing that all of you can do to improve your business trajectory, your growth, is to make sure that you have the elements of a brand, and that each one of them is properly or properly situated for your situation. So what we're going to do today is, so we are fortunate enough, if those of you are familiar with Techstars, Techstars is the #1 accelerator in the world. They have, I believe they have 100 locations all around the world, and it's a pretty difficult to get into accelerator. In fact, I don't believe anyone, I'm not even sure anyone from North Carolina has ever been accepted. I know that nobody from Eastern North Carolina has been accepted. So we were very, very fortunate where they agreed to share with us a good chunk of their curriculum and their resources and assets. So it's really, really a great thing that we have. So today we're gonna watch some videos from a guy named Chuck Pettis, who is pretty much respected and regarded as one of the top branding guys in the world. His most popular brand that you would probably hear of are HP printers. He's been the branding guy on that for many years. I will warn you that this guy has to be the fastest talker I've ever heard in my life. He does not go slow, but don't worry. You can see this. Again, we have the videos and you can refer to it. But I just wanted to warn you. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go to Chuck Pettis on branding. Okay. We're going to start off with his trailer, which I think is.
My name's Chuck Pettis. I love branding. I have a company called Brand Solutions, Inc., located in Freeland, Washington. I've been very privileged to have a family of entrepreneurs. My son, Bree Pettis, was co-founder of a company called MakerBot, the leader in desktop 3D printing. And I was very fortunate to be able to work for him for 3 years, where I was the VP of marketing to introduce the MakerBot Replicator 2 desktop 3D printer. Startups and entrepreneurs have a hard time articulating the product, the target audience, and what's the benefit of their product. Entrepreneurs and founders should start with branding from the very beginning. It will help them articulate what they're doing and why it's important, and help them be way more successful. Branding's all about selling. It's the most efficient selling process. So to get customers, you have to sell, understand the customer's pain point and their problem, and then you need to articulate a solution that's going to relieve that pain and help them be really successful. Positioning statement is the company's most repeated message. It should be short, clear, understandable. It should explain what the company does and the benefit to its customers and target audiences. Most companies don't come up with a positioning statement. They ramble on and on and on. So a positioning statement should be the first thing you say in any conversation, any marketing communication, the website, brochures, presentations. You know, when you start a company, you want to find the 20% of the target audience that's going to bring you 80% of the revenue. And the positioning statement is targeted to help you do that. And it typically takes 28 times of repetition for someone to actually remember something. So in branding, we're trying to make it simple, keep it clear, keep it focused. In my experience, the biggest mistake that most companies make when it comes to branding is they go to a design firm or an ad agency and ask them to brand them or rebrand them. The problem is that very few agencies and design firms actually understand the true tools and techniques of branding. I really think that companies, as they're getting started, should develop their brand identity map, their brand name, their target audience, their category descriptor, the top purchase factors and features and benefits, the emotional appeal of their product and their brand, and that's what really makes a difference. Your positioning statement, your top 2 features and its and associated benefits, the emotional appeal of your product or brand, and what are the visuals that capture that emotional appeal, so when the target audience sees those visuals, it makes them want the brand.
Okay, my name's Chuck Pettis. I love branding. I'm really going to have a good time telling you in 40 minutes everything you need to know almost about branding. I've been doing branding my whole career. And I've been an entrepreneurial family my whole career, and so I really connect with you. I've had the opportunity to work with some of the world's greatest brands in all different kinds: manufacturing, service, real estate, consumer, financial, lots of high tech, manufacturing, restaurants, boy, just about everything. Let me just skip through those. So branding is the most powerful tool in the commercial world. Very few people understand how brand works. I'm here to tell you how it really works, because branding alters people's perceptions of reality. What I want to do is give you an overview of these most powerful branding tools that are used by the world's most powerful brands, so that you can use these tools to help your company be super successful. What is brand? Brand is a trademark. It's a trust mark. It's a trust relationship. Brand is about perception. It actually has not that much to do with reality. Stanford did a study with kids, and they found out that anything that has McDonald's on it tastes better to kids. Whoa. There's the great test between Coke and Pepsi. If you do blind taste testing, where people are tasting Coke and Pepsi, but they don't know what they're tasting, 51% will prefer Pepsi over Coke. But if you do name testing, here's Coke, here's Pepsi, all of a sudden almost 3 to 1, people will prefer Coca-Cola over Pepsi. Huge. They did the same study where the subjects were in an fMRI scanning machine, where most of the branding research is being done this day, i.e. what's going on in the brain when people are perceiving your brand. When the subjects didn't know what brand they were tasting, nothing happened in the brain. When they were cued with Pepsi, nothing happened in the brain. When they were cued with Coca-Cola, the brain lit up. In branding, we want the brain to light up emotionally. We want people to want your brand. Here is the brain on Coca-Cola. Here is the brain on Pepsi. I once did a workshop with one of the world's leading radiologists. He said, that's the pleasure center. It doesn't get much better than that. What has Coke done and what's Pepsi done? Coke has been on message. They repeated their key messages, delicious, refreshing, unique, for decades. They've kept the same logo. Pepsi keeps changing the logo. Pepsi keeps changing their messages. They actually just recently did a commercial where they used delicious and refreshing, which is the words that Coca-Cola owns. So let me tell you how people perceive reality. We perceive reality through our senses. The first place a scent signal goes is the amygdala, the limbic system in the middle of our brain, where people unconsciously decide what they're hearing, seeing, feeling is relevant to them. We want to light up the emotional brain. Then the scent signal gets to the prefrontal cortex, which is the rational brain, and that's where we want them to see your messages. So when you're doing branding, we need to light up the emotional part of the brain first, and then we need to give them messages so they know they've made a right decision. First, we start with emotions, then we go to the rational. The way we light up the brain is through imagery. We need to pick the right imagery because people are bombarded with all these messages. They tune them out. If you show the right image to people, it'll get the brain to light up emotionally, they'll connect, and then you give them the messages. So then what we do is you got to pick the right images. Image first, then messages. Then you use a brand ladder. A brand ladder is where you pick your features, why people are going to buy your product, then the benefits, why is it good for them, and then you want to ask them, how does it make you feel when you deliver on that feature and those benefits? Then you find imagery that evokes the emotion connected to the top tier purchase factors. So you show the images that are connected to the top tier purchase factors, then they can read the features and the benefits. So we did a project with Jeld-Wen, who's the world's largest manufacturer of windows and doors. And the number one purchase factor for windows is reliability. It's true for dealers, distributors, builders, remodelers, consumers. Actually, reliability is the number one purchase factor or feature in the world. Everybody wants reliability. So then we found out, how do we ladder that up? And what is the emotion for reliability when it comes to windows if you're a builder or remodeler? Reliability, and the emotion is peace of mind, because if the window arrives, it has a defect, it's late, it causes all kinds of problems. You want it to arrive on time, and it boils down to peace of mind. So it's all about imagery. Got to pick the right imagery. And you really ought to test imagery. You can test imagery first in your founder group, and then with your friends you can have pizza parties. So this is a major opportunity. If one thing I want you to take out of this, the number one thing is the use of powerful imagery to get your target audience's attention. So here's the Jeld-Wen. No, let's go back to the Jeld-Wen if we could. Here's the brand ladder. So here's Jeld-Wen ads. And we did all kinds of research to find out what kind of imagery would evoke peace of mind when it came to windows, because most people just show the frames. What we found out is if we show pictures of windows from the inside of a home to a beautiful pastoral landscape, it like totally did the job. This equaled billions of dollars to Jeld-Wen. It was huge. This stuff really works. So brand is your proprietary, emotional, visual, rational image. It is all about selling. This is not about fluff or hype or anything like that. It's about how do you sell quicker and faster. And a well-crafted value will increase the value of your brand and your company, so you can get better funding, you can get a higher multiplier, you can get a great exit. It's not about a new logo. The big trap you're going to run into if you go to a branding agency is most of these people have no idea of any of the stuff I've just talked about, and to them branding's a new logo. What a waste of time. Forget it. It's all about communicating what you do and communicate it in a way that people get it and they want it. It's about more sales, a quicker close, a better valuation, building trust, and attracting great people to come work for you.
Okay, I just want to take a second here to talk about a couple of things that that's going on here. I think first of all, I recognize that this instructor, this guy, is talking about well-known national or even international brands, and sometimes the discussion about what does McDonald's do or what does Coca-Cola do or Jeld-Wen or any other big organization. You think, well, what the hell does that have to do with me and my business here in North Carolina or so forth? And the point that I'd like to make, and the opportunity that you have that maybe you haven't really thought about, back when I was younger, the big thing about any kind of brand was the ability to have the money to advertise at a large scale. So if that meant network television or, big magazines or newspapers or anything that was kind of a mass communication model. And generally speaking, that cost a lot of money. And so the rule of thumb was, if you were some local little business, it was a waste of time to spend money, time, thought, energy on these branding concepts, because how in the hell are you going to get the word out? Well, with digital capabilities, with the internet, email, social media, etc., you actually have the ability to do this now, no matter what scale that you are at, no matter where you are with your business, you have the ability to create emotional responses to your goods and services, your products, and your brand. And we can talk about where do you get photos, how do you do that kind of stuff. But I just want to make the point that nowadays you have the ability to do what historically was not possible for small businesses, and that is, communicate with imagery. He said in the video, you might remember, he said, if I can't get anything else across to you, remember the power of images. And because the internet and much of this other stuff, social media, email, etc., these are visual and even audio, but certainly visual tools that or platforms that you have access to, and there's really no reason why you can't take advantage of some of these things in your effort. So I do want to recognize that this guy is talking about big brands with big budgets, but guess what? You can do it too. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not sure I'm sharing my screen.
Getting
Sorry
your
about
brand
that.
remembered. You've heard the word repetition, I think, so far.
Sorry about that. I'm a little quick on the draw there. Okay, here we go.
Getting your brand remembered. You've heard the word repetition, I think, so far 2 or 3 times this morning. In branding, the goal is you need to repeat your brand name and your top tier features or purchase factors over and over and over and over again. And like you need to memorize them. And it takes 28 times for people to actually remember stuff, so you need to repeat it verbatim. You can't reword it. This is not like writing essays where you do an intro and then set it all up and keep the good stuff for the end. In branding, we do the good stuff up front and we keep repeating it. So we did a big project for REI. This is the before image. So in REI, a lot of these people do mountain climbing and technical climbing. And so this is real cool to them. The problem is the target audience for REI is a regular person just wants to go for a walk, wants to go for a hike. And this totally scares them, makes their palms sweat. They throw away the catalog. We did research and we found out that if we show little people in big, beautiful landscapes, it totally turns on people who want to go in the outdoors. Because that was the goal. They wanted to motivate people to go in the outdoors and get more clothing and gear. They're still using the same kind of imagery in 2017, 2018. If you go to an REI store, you're going to see this kind of imagery. Now we're going to do a brand identity map. Now I'm compressing a day into like 40 minutes, so fasten your seatbelt. So a brand identity map is a mind map. It's what you want everybody in your organization to say when they talk about your organization. It's going to need to be in all your marketing communications. It's got it all on one page. So this is a full brand identity map. We don't have enough time to do this one, so we're going to do an abbreviated one. And this is to ensure you get consistent, repeated messages and visuals. And
I just want to make the point, we have these worksheets available on the same website where the videos are. So if you're interested in doing this, we can get that to you.
and all your marketing communications, from the website all the way down through your presentations. So here's an example of a brand identity map we did for an organization called the Northwest Entrepreneur Network. Entrepreneurs. Shortest positioning statement we ever did. Positioning statement's your most repeated message. helping entrepreneurs succeed. You might have heard that message be repeated a little bit here, talking about Blackstone Launchpad powered by Techstars. So, and the number 2 purchase factors or reasons to belong are make connections and access resources. This was done with quantitative research with everybody in this organization, so it's dead on. So you need to repeat it. So here's the website, Northwest Entrepreneur Network, helping entrepreneurs succeed. Helping entrepreneurs succeed, the Northwest Entrepreneur Network helps entrepreneurs make the connections and access the resources they need to succeed. So when I talk about repeating, like I'm not making it up, helping entrepreneurs succeed repeated 3 times at like 20 some words. So you really need to repeat it. It's really important. And then what happens is, I left the board, they got a new marketing person. They got rid of the positioning statement. They got rid of the imagery. They came up with a slogan. Slogans and taglines are a waste of time. It's just one more thing to remember, and you got to figure out what the heck it means. So they go from start to success. Because internally they thought, oh man, we got something from from the most beginning entrepreneur to the Bill Gates, which was totally not authentic, didn't work, and everything changed. They went down to 100 members, and they went out of business. This branding stuff puts people out of business. I've worked with big companies and we have put their competition out of business. I have worked with companies and made many people extremely wealthy. I'd like you all to become incredibly wealthy. And the way to do it is you need to use these techniques. So here's another problem. Only 1% of companies actually know why people buy their products. This is like a marketing branding sin. So you need to find out that when you're selling, what are the top 2 features that are going to get them to buy you instead of someone else? Sounds simple. Hardly anybody does it. You need to do this for your companies because people out there are saying one thing when the customers want another. Only 8% of Americans trust advertising because this is what's happening. We need to find out if what you do, which of your customers really connects with what you do. So I had the opportunity to work with my son, Bree Pettis, who founded a company called MakerBot here in Brooklyn. We grew that company to $400 million, exited at $400 million in 6 years of manufacturing company. My son, Bree Pettis, is now doing whatever he wants, and he started a new company called Bantam Tools with desktop CNC machines. This was desktop 3D printing, and I got to be the VP of marketing for him when we rolled out this product, and it was such a blast. And Bree grew up with me, so he saw me using this stuff. We did brand identity maps, not only for the company, but for every product. And before Bree went on Colbert or any interview, he pulled out the brand identity map and he'd make sure he got the messages down so he was always on message. So this stuff really works. It's simple, but it takes a lot of discipline. So we're going to cover each part of this brand identity one part at a time. I'm just going to do this like really quickly. This is to give you a quick idea of what it's all about. And it's actually important if you could actually do market research to validate what you come up with. So we're going to cover the brand name, target audience, category descriptor, features, positioning statement. Okay. So here's the map. You all got one of these. First is, who's your target audience? So a target audience, you want to find out demographics, psychographics, who are they, what do they look like? Ideally, we give your target audience a name, so when you're talking about the rest of the parts of this brand identity map, you can say, well, what does Hank or what does Sally want? And it should be distinctive and it should be actionable for your marketing. So write your target audience in your map. Maybe you have one or two. So at MakerBot, while you're doing that, we started out thinking the target audience was hobbyists and people were going to buy a desktop 3D printer. Then we rapidly found out that hobbyists only buy one 3D printer, but when we sold to companies like GE, they bought lots of desktop 3D printers. So we switched the target audience from hobbyists to companies. Bingo, sales totally took off. Okay, brand name. Okay, so it was really interesting to see you've got a lot of unique brand names, so I congratulate you on that. The problem these days with brand names is finding one that's available for a trademark standpoint and also available for a domain name. Super hard. Memorable, short, and by the way, don't use acronyms. words are 60% more memorable than acronyms. Using an acronym is a sure way to get people to forget your name and what you're doing. So category descriptor, this is actually really important. Back in the late 90s, all the high-tech companies, I wrote a book called Technobrands, all the high-tech companies thought branding is what it's at, so they started brand naming every product and coming up with tchotchkes and coffee cups and t-shirts, and they thought branding was done. I remember going to Sun where I did branding for the Sun Ultra Enterprise servers. And we'd done a map of all Sun in the middle and all their brand names, and there were like 70 brand names all around Sun. It looked like the asteroid belt. And Scott McNeely was there, and they all realized that they'd made a major mistake here because nobody knew who all these names were. Plus, it takes a lot of money to manage those trademarks. So people like that, like at Microsoft, unless you're a billion-dollar brand, you don't get a new brand name. You have to use one of the existing Microsoft brands, and you need to use a category descriptor. A category descriptor is 2 to 4 words. It's a generic phrase. It's a hook so people know what you're talking about. And so desktop 3D printer. That was a term we actually made up at MakerBot that hadn't been used before. Now that's the generic accepted term. Tablet, smartphone. So this is not a funny name. This is not a made-up name. This is what hook do you want to fit on in the minds of your customers. And you always want to link your brand name and a category descriptor. So I've done a bunch of work for HP LaserJet printers, and they always do HP LaserJet printers. So you want to put your brand name and your category descriptor right afterwards, so people hook your name and can associate your name with the category you're in. This is actually a really important decision for you to make. Category descriptors, you need to have it so people really get it quick. One thing you can do is you come up with a list of category descriptors, you brainstorm. You get your team together. You give them, let's say you got 5 category descriptors, you give everybody 2 votes. You have them vote for the category descriptors that's going to be most simplest and easiest to understand for the target audience. And then you can do that with actually, ideally, your target audience, do some market research with them. SurveyMonkey works great. This is one that's really worth researching. This is really important. Features and benefits. What is a feature? A feature is a factual statement about your product or your service. You know, dimensions, specs. What are benefits? They're the end result. What does the target audience get from that feature? So here's an illustration from HP. The features are up to 40% faster, uses up to 53% less energy, up to 40% smaller, and the benefit is all this beautiful illustration. When we work with HP LaserJet printers, who actually got 90% of the market, they started off with just a picture of the product. Then they started showing the product with a person beside the product. Sales popped. Then they started showing the product with a person, showing the output that just came from the HP LaserJet printer with the right emotional expression. 90% market share. So that's what these features are really important. So, and how do you decide about features? You want to find the features that when your target audience has got it and down, whether they're going to buy you or someone else, you want to find the features that motivate them and switch them to buy you rather than the competition. Features are really important. It's another area that really ought to be researched. Okay, let's go. So my question is, for you, when you're selling, I mean, you all got up, you got your 2 minutes to do your pitch. What are the top features and selling message for your brand, for your product, for your service, for your target audience at the time when they're making the decision maybe to fund you, whether to partner with you, whether to be your customer? Examples of top-ranked purchase factors: reliable, scalable, grow as you grow, responsive, knowledgeable tech support, easy, fast, and affordable. So notice these are not complicated. These are easy to understand. The shorter is better because you're going to have to repeat these over and over again verbatim. Now I want you to do, thinking of your product, your service, what is the #1 feature, purchase factor for your product or service in the minds and the hearts of your target audiences? These top 3 are actually from when I did work for Sun, when they were going from engineering workstations to wanting to get into the server marketplace. And we nailed these. It was done through quantitative research. They pulled all the top customers, 100 customers here in the city, and the analysts, they presented this. They were on message. They repeated these messages. They showed, they had Larry Ellison up there showing scalable. And the analysts go to the top customer, what do you think? And the customer goes, it's just what I wanted. So you've done your feature. Now I want you to think, what are the benefits of that feature, your target audience? And ideally, you want to brainstorm, make a whole list of why is that good for your target audience. And you want to bulletize them. We aren't doing paragraphs here, we're doing bullets. And then you want to think, hey, how does that make your target audience feel? When you deliver on the feature, when you deliver on the benefits, what's the emotion that makes them feel? Does it make them feel smart, confident, in control, safe, strong? You know, they're all these incredible emotions. Then you use the feature and the benefits for your messaging, and then you find imagery that's going to evoke this emotion when your target audiences look at the imagery. Now, this sounds simple. It actually isn't that hard, because if you do this with a group, you can ask them, how does it make you feel if you deliver on this feature and the benefits? Most people have no problem telling you how it made them feel. Then you need to go do research and find out what imagery is going to evoke that emotion. Now let's go to the tangible benefits. And now I want you to do, what's the intangible emotional appeal? So you've made your feature, you've made your benefit. Now think about, how does your target audience going to feel when you deliver on that feature and that benefit? And think of an emotion. And then if you're really cruising, think about what kind of image you could show that would evoke that emotion with your target audience. So this is actually perhaps the most challenging one. This is called the positioning statement. The positioning statement is your most repeated message. You need to use this when somebody says, who are you? Or somebody in your company uses it and they say, what do? You want them to use the positioning statement. It needs to be repeated verbatim, not reworded. It needs to quickly describe what your company does and the benefit to your target audiences. It's generic and descriptive. We are not talking taglines or slogans here or funny, cute headlines. We're talking very straightforward, descriptive of what you do and the benefit to your target audience. A couple examples. With the Intel Celeron processor, you can expect an affordable and reliable PC for your home or home office. Idaho Conservation League preserves Idaho's clean water, its wildlife, and quality of life. The Blackstone Launchpad, powered by Techstars entrepreneurship program, helps students succeed. So the shorter is better because you need to remember it. And you've all got, I think, the fill-in form. This is another one that's really worth testing. You want to get everybody to memorize it. You need to find a positioning statement that you and everyone in your company is comfortable saying over and over and over again, like 1,000 times. And you also need to find a positioning statement. When you say that, your target audience says, tell me more. It starts the conversation, because after you do the positioning statement, you give them your top 2 features and purchase factors, and now you got them. You're reeling them in. And you need to keep the number of purchase factors as short and sweet as possible, because people just can't handle a lot of purchase factors and features. You need to keep it really straightforward. You want to repeat your name many, 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 many times, because in branding, it's all about brand awareness and familiarity. You need to repeat your name so many times so people actually remember it, and then you connect that. It's called brand association with what you do. So use the message in your brand identity map repetitively. Avoid rewording. Link your brand map to your operations. You need to link the brand operations to make sure you can actually deliver on what you're promising in the features. Give it to everyone in your organization. You want everybody to use this. If they won't use the brand, if they won't give it the program, fire them. You want the right people on the bus. Read the book Great to Good to Great and get these people who aren't going to participate, who are going to rein on the right messaging, get them out of the organization before they screw you up. And thank you.
Okay, so all the worksheets are here underneath the videos. Just so you know, this is contained on the Accelerate Rural NC website. You come down below the calendar and you'll see Techstars Toolkit among some other links. And if you click on that, it'll take you to branding as one of the categories. You'll see it like this, the power of branding, and you can go through these videos as you like, and have the forms that he's mentioned a couple times in the presentation. So I warned you he was fast, but I think that what I hope that everyone gets out of the messaging is that if you spend time putting together your positioning statement and your imagery, your brand imagery, whether it's on your website, whether it's in emails, social media, or other things that you're doing, it's a real opportunity to set yourself apart from your competition, because many of your competition, they are not they're not aware of this and they're not doing this kind of stuff. So with that, I'll open it up to any reactions or questions that the folks might have.
I thought he was really good.
Yeah, he is. You can't even hire him. He's so popular. He's really an in-demand branding guy, and we're lucky to be exposed to him, even though he's talking really fast. Patrick, did you have something you wanted to say?
I'm sorry, I meant to turn off mute. I apologize. I'm driving.
No problem. Anyone else have any questions or thoughts on this? As I mentioned, if you go to acceleraterural.org and go to member resources and go to Techstars, you can see these videos and his worksheets, which you can print out, no problem, and use them. And I'm happy to go over any of that with whoever goes through the process. You want to talk about it or confused about some things. I really encourage you to take it in small bites. I think brand imagery is something that you can do pretty easily. There's a lot of free video, or rather, well, video and still photography available on the web, and some for very low cost, or you may even have some of your own good stuff that you could use. But I really encourage you to think big, because really with the internet, even though at this moment you may not have the traffic you would like to ultimately have, you do in fact have the ability to create a brand impression in the minds of your prospects and customers. They can get it, I think, even if you're not on network television or big platforms like this guy was talking about. One of the problems with a lot of the education in this space is the examples are often really big brands with big budgets, and it's awfully hard to connect how you might be able to do some of that stuff yourself. And one of the goals of our program is to show you how you can do this yourself. And it's really not as hard as you would think, particularly when we get to live streaming e-commerce, which we'll be getting to shortly. You'll be able to see how you, in fact, can have, in effect, a television show or a production that actually can compete with big international brands. So you'll be amazed at the stuff that that you're able to do with some of the tools that are available at this point. Anyone else have any thoughts they wanted to contribute or add?
I would say with your statement, like I've learned over the years, if it's like 30 to 45 seconds to tell somebody and they get it, then you hit it on the head. So also remember to keep it brief and to the point.
Yeah. I had a boss one time tell me, I wanted to ask how the plane flew, not how the hell you build the airplane. So that was a good lesson for me. Even though you might be really immersed in your business and it's really taxing you physically and emotionally and mentally, that doesn't mean you have to give every detail to every customer or prospect. Some of them are really good at getting it with a relatively clear brand positioning statement. Anyone else have anything they want to add to it? Please let me know. And let's see here. Our next class is going to be Monday, the 26th. And the question is, do you need an e-commerce website? And we're going to talk about that. I think you'll find it helpful and may be surprising to some of you of ways to sell online that don't necessarily involve your own particular website. They certainly can, and we encourage that, but there's also other ways to build your reach. So unless anyone else has anything they want to add, I'm going to call it, and we'll see everybody on Monday. Oh, sorry, Ruth. I just said Monday is our class on, do you need an e-commerce website? That's going to be the subject of that class. And we're going to go over how you can sell online, both with your website and also without your website in other ways. So I think it'll be fun. I think you'll enjoy it. And we'll have some good examples for that. Okay. Well, thanks, everybody. We'll see you on Monday, okay? Take care.